Well, hello again, my friends and fans everywhere. This is your fitness captain, Jason, speaking. I hope you guys and gals are doing great out there. Hope you're loving life. I always say we live in a remarkable and privileged era. The informative information superhighway, uninhibited and unedited, and an era of space travel and exploration. So great to be alive, isn't it? Indeed. So come over here, my weary traveler. Join me, will you? Take your coat off and grab a stool or chair. Come warm yourself by the fire. Put on a pair of slippy joes, maybe have a cup of java, and join me, will you, for another story, as I give you my deep research, approximation, evaluation, investigation, discussion, analysis, and hopefully a thorough breakdown on Richard Dolan once again. We'll do some critiquing, I think, of his, once again, of that live stream of the secret space program that he did. And we'll get into, I think it's important again, my friends, to discuss the national security state and how it relates to UFOs and the Nazi-esque model that the US have run their country largely as a template with what those Nazis were doing inside of Germany, my friends. So let me do that, and I hope you guys will stay with me. Don't go off the video unless you've watched at least 10 minutes without going out of the room, my friends. Can you do that? No, it's your choice, my friends. But let me try to do this, okay? Because I think it's so important, my friends. I don't have any particular agenda in my videos, like I say, other than to fight for the freedom of humanity, to try to help provide sufficient transparency and truth on this all-important subject, my friends, because the UFO subject is a very multifaceted, complex subject in a lot of ways with a lot of moving parts. But one way we can cut out a lot of uncertainty, as I always say, my friends, and I have no idea why no other ufologists use this term. The only person that I know that uses this term is the great Joe from the Carolinas. That's right, that's his YouTube channel, my buddy Joe. Hi, Joe. I hope you're listening. I hope you will listen to this video, because, my friends, it's so important to use that term because it has to do with reason, logic, and common sense. And that's what Joe's channel is all about, my friends, to confront the paranormal, as he says, with reason, logic, and common sense. My friends, because military UFOs, naturally, it cuts out at least a lot of the uncertainty. We can get more clarification because it is all military UFOs, my friends. As I described, it's a covert military civilization that is responsible for piling all these trillions of dollars of hardware that we're seeing. And of course you have drones that are unmanned. But real UFOs, my friends, I'm telling you, it's got nothing to do with ET or extraterrestrial. That's a known fact. I mean, come on, reason, logic, common sense, my friends. And as I always say, I qualify it, I say we're still searching, and we are on the cusp of this generation or the next, I think, to discover, are we alone or not? I think it most likely will be microbial or insectoid life. I wouldn't even be surprised if we're going to find out, if we get the truth of what's going on Mars, that there's insectoid life. There's some amazing pictures. I don't know if it's photoshopped or not, my friends, but it looks like huge spiders and cliffs, I swear to God. So that wouldn't be surprising. But to find other sentient beings like us, my friends, or similar to us, I think that's a long shot, but it's possible. It's possible. And that's why, my friends, stick around, because the James Webb Telescope, of course, is taking over from the Hubble. It's supposed to be released sometime this month, my friends. So I'm not sure what date exactly, so I'll definitely have my ears and eyes open for that. I hope you guys do too. The point being, it's going to take over from the Hubble, where the James Webb, my friends, the big difference is this is designed to see in the deep infrared. Okay, the Hubble could only see a little bit of the infrared, more violet and ultraviolet. So the James Webb is going to pierce through those dust clouds, okay, and reveal the delicate star formations, even more of the beginning of the universe, and really we're going to have a new understanding of cosmic time, my friends, through this telescope. And they know they're going to make many, many more transformative discoveries with this telescope, my friends. So keep your fingers crossed. Just again, we live in such amazing times, my friends. I always say we live in the most transformative time of thinking in human history, my friends, and we're creating reality all the time, right? It's just truly awesome. So, my friends, let's get into, let's start with Dolan and the national security state again, my friends, because I think it's so important. And there was one aspect of the national security state, how it relates to the United States and the Nazi-esque model that I forgot to say. But let me start by saying again, my friends, that, you know, Dolan, again, he's done a lot of great work, don't get me wrong, but he's always subscribed, of course, that we reverse engineered alien craft at Roswell, my friends. And he talks about ET bodies. Even on the latest video, my friends, he's talking about, again, reverse engineered alien parts or ET parts, you know, of spacecraft in ET bodies. I mean, come on, my friends. The Roswell crash, let's get this out of the way real quick, my friends. I can do it just like that and tell you. The paperclip signs were at Dayton, they were at White Sands, and God, I can never remember all three locations, my friends. It always gets me. But anyways, there were the three locations in particular in New Mexican desert, all in around where that crash happened, my friends. So logic dictates, right? It was most likely a crash from the paperclip scientists working with the Americans on their amazing anti-gravity breakthroughs. That started in the 1930s. It's a known fact, my friends. The Nazis were way Oh, my friends, excuse me, we've got a huge gust of wind. Stay with me. It's a beautiful day here in Canada, my friends. Just windy and gusty. I worked hard today, lifting heavy furniture, by the way. But seriously, so the paperclip scientists, my friends, and most likely they were testing some sort of exotic anti-gravity. It could have been, or it could have been Russian, but certainly it was a rogue group, my friends, within the military-industrial complex. This is where it always comes in, my friends. It's always buried within the military-industrial complex, right? The contractors and the private corporations. As I said, my friends, and Joe knows this and has done a great video on the structure, sort of what's going on in our world today, my friends, where the stories changed, as I always said in my videos as well, where the government has lost total control of managing and owning this military technology. They're still financing it, but it's buried within private contractors and corporations, okay? But it's still buried within the military-industrial complex. So it's got nothing to do with ET, my friends. Let's get over that. Let's get the real truth out. And Dolan, unfortunately, in my opinion, my friends, and I think it's factual, he sold himself out. I mean, anytime you go to ET and you're a historian, and you know you're supposed to know your history, my friends. He knows what the Nazis has worked on. He even did a radio interview, I think after he saw one of my videos. I can't be for sure, my friends, but I think most likely, because in one of my videos, I think it was on the 16th of August or something, I had talked about and mentioned that I was sort of asking you guys and gals, why isn't Dolan talking about what the Nazis were working on in the 1930s? Because this relates to UFOs. He's all about UFOs and technology, right, my friends? And who's responsible for it, isn't he? Well, he never talked about it. But then about a week later or so, he did interview the great Joseph P. Farrell and asked him some very good questions concerning what those Nazis were working on and all relating to UFOs. So, but they still, both of them, my friends, I was a little disappointed. They brought up a lot of uncertainty. You know, they were claiming that there's so many number of reports, and even Joseph, this is very unlike Joseph, by the way. He's one of the best, if not the best researcher in the world on this topic. He was going on about how, you know, he didn't think we had whoever, you know, we didn't have the money necessarily. He said, I mean, our country would go broke, you know, because he was discussing about how expensive these UFOs are. Well, sure they are, my friends. But Joseph is the one who tells you that there was all this German loot, that of course Truman got a lot of that German loot when he set up the national security state, and of course all that Nazi wealth was moved to banking systems as well throughout the banks at the end of World War II, my friends. And this is like probably trillions of dollars back then in today's money, my friends. So there's lots of money. The hidden secret system of finance that Joseph's done a great job in the bond market, that was all being set up in 1947, my friends. So they had plenty of money to begin setting up the infrastructure of building, you know, this amazing technology. And of course now we see it. It's all over different countries. It's trans-international now. China, Russia, I'm sure they have it as well. So let me go back to Dolan, my friends. So he does conferences, right, discussing the national security state and how it relates to UFOs of the United States. But what he doesn't talk about, my friends, and this is so important, I mean, it's logical, that the U.S., and there's a lot of great Americans, don't get me wrong, my friends, a lot of great Americans, and of course amazing people in the military as well, but we're talking about shadow groups, my friends, and the ones that are very, very greedy, that don't want to let go of their fundamental income, and they don't want to let go of the enslavement of the human race, okay? That's the people we're talking about here, my friends. And this is why I'm trying to provide transparency, because I'm trying to help us, my friends. Together we can inject that vital transparency and make a societal shift and get our right to the anti-gravity, my friends. Bending over to grab my book, this, as I keep showing, because it's so important, my friends. All right? Now, I was saying about the national security, my friends, that Dolan, he never talks about how the U.S. have run their country, and Michael Schrad, as I said in my other video, my friends, he does an excellent job just stating the facts, how the U.S. have run their country as sort of like a Nazi-esque model, a Nazi model, as a template or guideline for how those German Nazis were doing. I'm doing a video, sorry. So they were using the Nazis as a template because, my friends, you know, the intelligence apparatus, of course, on the Eastern Front under Reinhard Dolan, as I said on the other video, that just rolled right into the CIA, right? That huge spy apparatus. That's important to note, my friends. And I'm going to get into how that relates to Dolan in a moment, my friends. Okay, again, Dolan talks a lot about the national security state. So you got that happening at the end of World War II, the intelligence apparatus. And then, of course, my friends, as I said on the other video, Michael Schrad tells you, the U.S. copied the space program from those Nazi German scientists, the paperclip scientists, right? Or the Nazi scientists, even at Pudamonda there. It was the same space program. They even copied them right down to the countdown, my friends. This is all part of history, important history, folks, okay? And, of course, again, the whole intelligence networks, intelligence industries, the intelligence gathering, in other words, the NSA, that was all patterned after those German originals, my friends. And this is so important, my friends, because it shows you the Nazi scientists and Nazis, they infiltrated basically the national security state of the U.S. Because, my friends, we all know the U.S. made the devil dealings with the Nazi scientists. Under Operation Paperclip, right? It was all to get that UFO technology. And we know, my friends, to this day, there is a significant impact of those Nazis in Washington, D.C. No question about it. And another evidence of that, my friends, I told you on the other video, and I learned this from Joseph P. Farrell. This is not just coming from my imagination or conspiracy, my friends. Joseph read an article in an interview, and I learned this many, many months ago. I thought it was really interesting because it has a lot of implications, ramifications, right? He was reading an article, and Joseph thought the same thing, and that's why he read this article in an interview. It's from, I think, Sergio Glassieff is his name, okay? He was an economic advisor under Putin, one of the economic advisors, so this was several years ago. And he wrote a long op-ed piece, and he said the U.S. are fully controlling the Nazis in Kiev, Ukraine, so he's basically saying they've got Nazis boots on the ground over there. And even Joseph tells you a few instances where, again, the U.S., if they want to overthrow a government, like King Farouk, I believe it was in Egypt, again, they had Nazis boots on the ground there. So, Sergio is saying that the U.S. are fully controlling the Nazis in Kiev, Ukraine. He claims the U.S. are pushing this war to the bombastic end, their enemy, etc. And then he says, get this, my friends, that the U.S. he says, the only way to get rid of Nazism is in Washington, D.C. Now, that's truly amazing, my friends. That means, of course, when you talk Washington, D.C., especially in these regards, you're talking international, right? I mean, just amazing. Trying to angle the camera again, my friends. Sorry. There we go. So, again, this has got to be told, my friends. This is part of history. So, what I'm saying, my friends, about the Nazi template or guideline that the U.S. used. Before I forget, my friends, on the other video I meant to say, even the words Homeland Security, is that subtle? I don't think so. Even Catherine Austin Fitz agrees with that, my friends. That's not subtle. Come on. So again, my friends, what I'm trying to say too is that you better believe in a lot of ways, the Nazis have a real impact and influence on the geopolitical decisions going on in Washington, D.C., my friends. And we need to be aware of that. It's part of history. It's part of what's going on now. Obviously, there's other groups in Washington, D.C. too, my friends. I mean, you've got some, I'm sure, amazing Jewish leaders, hopefully in Washington, D.C., I would think as well, and other nationalities going on in Washington, D.C. America is still, I think, largely a great country, my friends. I always want to qualify that as well. Obviously, there's a lot of ways to improve it, though, and that's why I think if we discuss these topics intelligently, using the platforms of YouTube and Facebook, my friends, and we work together, we can help make a huge difference in this world, my friends. For the United States, for me here in Canada with my fellow friends here in this great country of ours, because my friends, I've done videos on the missing trillions, of course, what's going on with the black budget in the United States. Other researchers have as well, like dark journalists. Of course, the great Catherine Austin Fitts, my friends. She was the one that documented $21 trillion. She got the help from Professor Skidmore and his university students. They put it on the website in Michigan. That's a hard figure, my friends. Missing since 1998. That was several years ago, so it's more than 21 trillion now. But my friends, people like her, we need people like that, again, to help provide that sufficient transparency, because that kind of money, my friends, that affects, obviously, Canada. My sister teases me. I got to flex, my friends. I just love fighting for the freedom of humanity, again, in my own unique way, my friends. And again, I'm trying to do this with you guys and gals. And hopefully I can explode this channel one day, my friends. I know I'm a long ways away right now, but if you guys stay with me, as I said, this channel, we're going to change it in a lot of ways. But I was saying, my friends, that kind of money, Catherine's even estimated you've got 50 trillion shifted out of North America, out the back door, my friends, into other systems. And the question is, where is it going? I discussed that on another video. So, and this all relates to Dolan as well, my friends, in a way. Dolan, he's interviewed Catherine Austin Fitts. And again, my friends, Richard Dolan does not discuss the national security state and how it's been compromised. So when you talk about how it relates to UFOs, and he reads memos how at one point a certain part of the U.S. intelligence agencies, they thought perhaps it was interplanetary, right? That it could have been another race of beings. Well, that's all fine and dandy, my friends. But if you read carefully the memo as well, which Joseph P. Farrell has, the version that you got to read, my friends, is the first thoughts that the U.S. thought that they had with that crash at Roswell. They thought it had to do with Nazis, and then because they knew the Nazis were making amazing technological developments in the 1930s. So again, my friends, that crash was most likely a rogue Nazi group, or again, it could have been Americans and Nazis together. Okay, I find that fascinating as well. Sorry, my friends. There we go. Just a sec. So, my friends, the national security state, keep that all in mind, okay? And, Dolan has had like 40... Here's a guy who subscribes to ET, right? And we reverse engineered alien craft with no evidence whatsoever. He admits it's stories, and he thinks that there's more than enough evidence, he said on his live stream, though, to make inferences that we've got ET craft and ET bodies. That's basically what he said, my friends. Are you kidding me? There's no evidence. Again, my friends, he even made comments about, if you recall, about the late Edgar Mitchell, who was, I'm sure, a great American patriot, fantastic astronaut. He did a lot of great things in his life, my friends. God rest his soul, right? Sorry, it's very windy, as you can tell, man. It's been a beautiful day. Just that they got a delicate selfie camera. You can't have it fall down. But as I was saying, my friends, he mentioned Edgar Mitchell said that he really thought, Edgar Mitchell thought it was really possible that there was ET extraterrestrials on the far side of the moon and responsible for the structures on the far side of the moon, my friend. I thought that was an astonishing statement, and I knew this, but I thought it really is, my friends, because I always suspected, as one other researcher, and I can't remember who he was, he also suspected in the later years sort of Edgar Mitchell's life, he became like, I think, a CIA asset in some ways. There was some of the quotes that Edgar Mitchell was making and his narrative that he was pushing, it seemed like he was. And I say it, I don't know if you could, I'm saying it respectfully, of course, but my friends, you got to keep in mind, again, CIA, right? There's a lot of disinformation from Edgar Mitchell, and the astronauts can only say so much, unfortunately, anyways, my friends, it seems like. But Edgar Mitchell, he knew when anytime Edgar Mitchell, and many times he did suggest with extraterrestrial ET, and that he was being told this information, of course, within the classified world, because Edgar Mitchell had great connections, my friends. But when he brings up ET, you know, especially when he's talking far side of the moon as well, you know that's a lie, my friends, or disinformation. Edgar Mitchell knew the military were up there with a classified covert space program. Again, my friends, no question about it. We had a covert military civilization that were already up on the moon when the astronauts went there, and I'll give you the evidence for it right now, my friends. Are you ready? There's lots of evidence for it, but I'll name you 2 examples. Not to mention, just use logic, common sense. Again, my friends, who was responsible for the anti-gravity? The Nazis, right? And Americans, making those amazing breakthroughs. I give credit to the brilliant American scientists as well, working with those Nazis. But I got to tell you 2 statements right now from the astronauts, my friends, that shows you there was a covert military civilization up. Now, I've mentioned Billy Carson numerous times, remember? Do I sound serious? Do I look serious? There. Anyway, so Billy Carson, my friends. Sorry, I'm on a roll here. I just feel so good. I had a great day working today. My muscles feel good and pumped, and but I am going to go inside and eat later. But let me finish by saying, my friends, a few things. Billy Carson owns his own space company. I've talked about him extensively, even on the live stream with Joe from the Carolinas. Remember Joe? And Joe asked me a good question about Billy Carson. He even said, you said he owns his own space company, right? And I said, yes, First Class Space Agency. They go over free energies, my friends, okay? They do experiments and testing. Billy Carson tells you he knows the military have had anti-gravity for decades and amazing electromagnetic propulsion systems. So Billy Carson, my friends, he's trying to fight for freedom of humanity in his own way as well. He's got almost 1 million followers on Instagram, Facebook. He's always trying to get his name and messages out there. He's an entrepreneur, very successful, hardworking guy, he sounds like. And my friends, he tells you, so he's talking to private space companies, my friends, because he's got his own space agency, right? I told you, his own space company. So he has top secret clearance at the Space Symposium in Colorado every year. I'm getting to my point in a minute, my friends. So he has to sign non-disclosure. He can't talk about exactly what he talks about in those meetings. But he tells you everything he legally can, of course. So he's been on coast-to-coast radio interview, all kinds of interviews, my friends, all right? And I've listened to his interviews very carefully. Not only does he tell you we have cigar-shaped craft, that's the second most common spacecraft, by the way. You've got your flying saucers, you have your black 600-foot and larger triangles, my friends, which amazing, astounding, radical UFO gnarly technology, of course. But you also got your cigar-shaped craft, my friends, which are the second most common. Triangles would be your third. Now he tells you, my friends, and again, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have seen cigar-shaped craft all around the world. But the ones deep in space, my friends, Billy Carson tells you, are the size of small cities. Operated, get this, by U.S. naval officers. I said this on the live stream as well. Isn't that remarkable? And he says, operated by U.S. naval officers, and he says, that's a fact. So what he tells you, my friends, when he has any speculation whatsoever, you can almost take it to the bank. It's based on very good reasoning, and that's not a speculation from him. He's telling you it's a fact. And of course, the U.S. Navy are largely spearheading, as I always say, my friends, they're spearheading now in a big way the huge USO fleets. Well, these USOs come out of the oceans, but the whole space program, my friends, the Navy is largely in charge of it now, building massive fleets of USOs going to the oceans. Okay, no question about it. They're a more highly classified covert space program because you got the NASA. NASA's just a cover for the NRO, of course, and the Air Force space programs, and they're a cover for a highly classified covert space program by the Navy, my friends. And you never hear Donald Trump talking about the Navy, do you? He's talking about the Space Force and the Air Force, and he brags about rockets. Are you kidding me? Don't even get me started on rockets, my friends. Again, that's dinosaur technology from the Nazi days 70 years ago. 70 years ago. That's a joke. We're way past that. Michael Schratt talks extensively, tells you that as well. Anybody who does any semblance of research knows that, my friends. We've got amazing anti-gravity. I have the book to show you as well. Now, before I forget, my friends, Billy Carson, he tells you 2 startling statements by the astronauts that you can find at nasa.com. He tells you it's on a PDF file. They've got the black box tapes, so I'm pretty sure you can hear the audio version, my friends. At least Billy Carson and his team can. And one astronaut says to the other, it could have been Buzz Aldrin, he says to the other astronaut, you see those concave domes over there? And the other astronaut reports, I bet the people can't get out. And I'm always asking myself, I wonder who those people are, my friends. But again, nothing to do with ET. This has got to do with a covert military civilization that's up on the far side of the moon during Apollo. Okay, just truly remarkable. And so, in the other statement, my friends, that again, you can find at nasa.com. I haven't gone to it, but I trust Billy Carson when he says this. Of course, he's not going to lie about this stuff. The second statement, my friends, I've said this on another video. Do you recall on the far side of the moon, I'll even ask my mother, remember when they're going around in that doom buggy? Like, you know, it's almost like a bike and it's a flimsy doom buggy. Well, the one astronaut is reporting to Houston and he says, I guess he's frustrated because he says, why do you give us these flimsy doom buggies when the military are up here in Ferraris? I'm sure quoting that verbatim, my friends. I mean, truly remarkable. Definitely Ferraris was said, and he said military up here in Ferraris. So that shows you, obviously not real Ferraris he means, my friends. What he's saying is there's a covert military civilization group that has access to a very high pitch of technologies that's not being seen right, my friends. The Saturn V rocket, for example, my friends, Michael Schratt tells you the only thing that was high tech on that whole Saturn V rocket, and again, it's just a rocket, was the tiles. That's it, my friends. It was made out of aluminum. And you better believe with all those trillions of dollars, and they were doing a mega Manhattan-like project, developing all these anti-gravity propulsion systems, my friends, all this high-tech classified technologies in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. You better believe, even during Apollo, my friends, why not believe that there was a much higher technology that had already gone to the moon? And I'll tell you why we also know this, my friends, why we know that there was a rogue covert military civilization already up on the moon, and they followed the astronauts, because Buzz Aldrin, remember, he said they were even followed by a tumbling UFO. But you know, a lot of true believers, my friends, unfortunately, and or gullible people that have been brainwashed, they believe, oh, well, the tumbling UFO, it must mean extraterrestrial. No, my friends. This is why research and investigation is so important. You know, several years ago, my friends, I used to believe at one point, because I so desperately wanted to believe in aliens and ET that we were being visited, my friends, I actually was trapped in the alien mind trap myself. I thought there's no way we could have this technology. Some of them have to be ET. But unfortunately or fortunately, whatever, the truth of the matter is, my friends, it's not. But I always say it's almost just as interesting to know when you know that we made the breakthroughs with anti-gravity, my friends. But what's so frustrating, my friends, is that we deserve the truth on this. We have been lied to 60 plus years. Really, they have had these technologies and made the breakthrough 70 years ago, my friends. 70 years ago. They've had decades and decades to allow the world to have this integrated, to have it in culturally grounded and controlled, as I always say, to get the laws in place and beautify this planet like never before in ways we can't even begin to imagine. I'll keep saying that in my videos because it's so true. This book even tells you at least 30 or 40 or 50 ways that it's going to change the world in terms of transportation. Of course, my friends, all this time, for decades now and decades, we haven't needed oil and gas. We haven't needed nuclear power or any centralized utilities. We should have been off hydro decades ago, my friends. Even Stephen Greer, the sellout Stephen Greer, who pushes, you know, some of these are ET and aliens, and yet he's done other good work. He tells you the same thing. We haven't needed utilities. And I tell you, Nikola Tesla, my friends, this is written by Paul A. LaViolette, a PhD. It's got Nikola Tesla at the top. You know it's got to be a good book if he's giving credit to Nikola Tesla, because he should. Nikola Tesla in 1907, my friends, he was going to do away with stinky oil and gas, right, my friends? I mean, with his amazing electricity and free energy. And that's why J.P. Morgan pulled out, my friends, right? His sponsor. The millionaires at the time, J.P. Morgan, the oil syndicates, and you had the Rothschilds, but J.P. Morgan was a sponsor. The only reason J.P. Morgan would ever want to pull out sponsoring the brilliant Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds, if not the greatest mind ever, my friends, and trying to help humanity, was because, again, J.P. Morgan, the likes of them, and other greedy people, my friends, unfortunately, not that J.P. Morgan was totally evil or anything, but the fact that these people, my friends, it seems like they do not want to let go of their fundamental income and the enslavement of the human race, because that's what we find ourselves in, my friends, when we could have had this free energy the whole time. So again, this is why we need sufficient transparency and get the truth out, my friends, on these amazing technologies, who's in control, who's benefiting from it, and where is it? And I would argue, my friends, even though it's trans-international, Nazis and Americans are the head of the game. Started with those Nazi scientists, right? They have, again, have curated, developed, researched, and tested amazing, radical, gnarly UFO technology. Truly astounding stuff. Remarkable, breathtaking technology. And I will give them credit for making these breakthroughs, my friends. But what is disgraceful and what is treason is the fact that all these trillions of dollars have been stolen for their technologies when they're not being transparent and honest with us, my friends, to help us beautify this planet, right? And you know, the first 10 years, there'll be growing pains, with just like with any, you know, revolutionary technology, because it is a revolutionary non-plutonian physics we're talking about, my friends. But as the years go on, with when we get the laws in place and get off stinking oil and gas, which we will, my friends, I mean, right away we're going to see so many amazing benefits. So there'll be some growing pains along the way, but overall, my friends, you can imagine it's just going to be truly astounding for this whole planet, my friends. And that's what's disgraceful. And so we got to keep fighting the good fight on this. I hope you guys agree with me, and gals, okay? So again, Billy Carson made some amazing statements with those astronauts. You can find it at nasa.com. It proves there was a covert military civilization. Richard Dolan, of course, talked about Carl Wolf, which I knew about, the whistleblower that talked about, you know, seeing structures, the pictures of structures on the far side of the moon from an NSA photo analyst, right, over at Langley. That was truly remarkable. And you know, Carl Wolf, you could tell the man's of integrity, a man of integrity, had no reason to lie. You could tell he's being honest. He had the technological savvy. He worked there. So that's more evidence of that, my friends. But Dolan, you know, I get always disappointed in Dolan in this way, my friends. He wants to cover the UFO subject over the years, and he's supposed to be a man of truth. But my friends, he keeps subscribing that we reverse engineered. He won't get off the fact. He can't change the story and be honest and say, you know what, I was wrong. There is no evidence. There's no hard evidence that we reversed engineered, that ET fell from the skies, in other words, that New Mexico desert, and we got their parts from it. When you know what the Nazi scientists were working on, my friends, and you use reason, logic, and common sense again, and where the paperclip scientists, they were there where the crash was. So why would there be ET falling from the skies? It's just ridiculous. And that's why, my friends, we have a lot of derision with the UFO subject, because you get other people who don't know much about the technologies to begin with, and then when they hear people like Dolan and a Stephen Greer talking about there's ET and we reverse engineered ET craft, come on. And even Dolan, he brings so much uncertainty about who's piloting these UFOs, insinuating that some could be ET. Remember, that's been his whole career, basically, right? And even on that live stream, my friends, he would not say that we have a covert military civilization. He would not say that these are all military UFOs. And it is, my friends. Come on. Again, no evidence for ET. But, you know, Dolan's entitled to his opinion. But he's also, he's going to have people like me, that's a truth seeker, who's not, I'm not going to sell myself out. Even if I had thousands and thousands of viewers like Dolan has. And sure, I'm a little envious. He started his live stream. He's got the video camera set up, getting help from his wife as a moderator. I don't have any help right now. but he has every right, Dolan has every right to get help, and I wish him success. But I'm gonna catch up to Dolan with his technology and his video camera. Definitely, I've got some friends that want to help me. It's just unfortunately it hasn't happened all summer yet, and I just started sort of my career as a YouTuber. But you know, Dolan needs to be exposed. I'm doing it in a respectful but firm way, my friends. Just like I always use these platforms when I talk about these subjects and other people, even when I talk about the intel agencies, the military, and how they've been lying to us, certain shadow groups, I try to do it respectfully, and I do. And I do it with decor and firmness, my friends. And I always say, you know, like, there's a lot of great people caught in the system as well. And we just have to hope these good people, my friends, that are aware of these technologies will fight for us and help to get it out. And us, the public, my friends, I really believe we can make a huge difference as well. The more and more people, for example, that are aware of the truth, my friends, aware of these technologies and where the information lies, again, within private contractors and corporations, the Americans are ahead of the game, and Russia and China are involved as well with their own UFO programs. Once we know that, my friends, and get more truth out, why can't we make a societal shift? Sure we can. And you know, I don't understand, my friends. I'm going to ask Joe from the Carolinas this, I think, my buddy. Hi, Joe. I'm going to ask you, Joe, one day, why is it that, do you think that we've never had a peaceful march in Washington, D.C. with signs held up saying, again, just saying like, we want our anti-gravity. We know you guys made the breakthroughs by 1952 at least. We know that. And again, I'm going to read you guys the publications from newspaper articles in 1955 showing you the scientists were saying they knew they were going to make an anti-gravity breakthrough. Okay, so you know the military already did it covertly. If you just connect the timeline, around 1952. And another example, evidence of that, my friends, you had the famous UFO flap, the most famous of all times, right above Washington, D.C. I forget the exact date in 1952, but you know, you had UFOs zipping all over the place over 2 weekends, right? Started in Britain. You had a Pan Am jet that was seeing UFOs reported by witnesses. Then it appeared over, there was UFOs appearing over the Pacific Ocean, my friends, swear to God, right in front of the radar scopes before they were even tracked. I mean, just truly remarkable. And then they were flying all over different places in the United States. I mean, and then they appeared above Washington, D.C., seen by, again, hundreds if not thousands of witnesses. So that was a rogue group, my friends. Again, within the military-industrial complex, it could have been Americans or it could have been Nazis or both of them together. But for sure there was a Nazi element there, my friends, because remember, Americans had the paperclip Nazi scientists starting in 1947, right? They got hundreds of the brightest Nazi scientists. Russia got a few as well. Oh, so the third option, my friends, it could have been Russian, okay? But I would say it was most likely a rogue Nazi group or Americans together, and they're showing that the Fourth Reich continues. So that would be mostly a Nazi, obviously a Nazi model, the Nazi playbook there. They're trying to show America and everybody else the Fourth Reich continues, that we have the technology. And they're saying, you know, you Americans, you've got our Nazi scientists right now. Here's the technology, and they show the world. What better way than to show in front of the Washington, D.C., of course, the most powerful country in the world, because America is. So that's what happened, my friends, and just again, part of history, part of amazing history. But again, my friends, it's all human ingenuity. We made the breakthroughs, and I can't get over. I'm really glad Richard Dolan has never mentioned those astonishing comments from the astronauts from Billy Carson. Now I get a chance to tell you guys and gals, right? Isn't that remarkable? And those domes, by the way, on the moon, Dolan touched on domes, I think, on the moon, because, my friends, there's even people with YouTube channels, and they actually make a living from it, and I'm glad for them, that they show you domes all over the far side of the moon. There's different domes. And some videos even show, you can see what looks like structure, like, what do you call it? I don't know, almost like a wall inside the dome. You know, you have to hold these things up, and apparently the domes are very, very big. And conjecture on my part, my friends, but other researchers have guessed too that the domes could create like an atmosphere, right, on the moon. And any structures that go up on the moon, keep in mind, my friends, glass is very strong apparently on the moon because of the very little oxygen or no oxygen on the moon, whatever it is up there. So, and then of course you got towers. I'm not sure if Dolan touched on the towers that have been seen, but they've been photographed as well. So you got domes that have been photographed by sophisticated telescopes and probes, and towers that are like 2 or 3 miles high. I think he mentioned Carl Wolf. Carl Wolf had mentioned that these towers are very tall as well. So truly remarkable stuff. We haven't even touched on Mars. I won't go into Mars today, my friends, but let me just tell you, I will say that Billy Carson and his researchers, again, Billy Carson owns his own space company, they tell you they've discovered 50,000 anomalies on the moon and Mars so far out of 1 million photos from NASA. And there's about 7-8 million photos total to go through. 50,000, my friends. Isn't that truly remarkable? And of course, Billy Carson tells you we have the right, the United States do, they're the taxpayers' money, to see those photos, my friends. And really the world, us Canadians as well, we have the right to see those photos. And yet, you know what NASA did, my friends? And there's a lot of great people in NASA, don't get me wrong, who've done great work. But NASA, my friends, again, largely they're a cover for the whole secret space program, which is massive. We know this, my friends. Anybody who does a little bit of research, you realize this, okay? Almost every live feed from NASA, for example, you got UFOs flying all over the place in space. I mean, it's just truly remarkable. So NASA, my friends, they did such egregious lies time and time again that in the 1960s, they literally put tape, black tape. I said this in one of my videos a while back, my friends. They put tape over structures, it looks like, on the moon. It was either structures and or UFOs as well in the background, and they put tape right over it. I mean, talk about an egregious lie, as I always say. I mean, because you see, NASA, they didn't have the technology, guys, back then to Photoshop and or just airbrush these photos, remember? Because even Dolan mentioned that, and I knew about her too, Carol Rosen. She's been telling the world for quite a few years now that when she worked at NASA, her and other people who had top secret clearance, they were airbrushing these photos out. They were ordered to airbrush photos from structures on the moon. All part of the cover-up, my friends. And again, this is egregious. This is totally unconstitutional, legal, my friends. These covert secret military groups that have stolen trillions and trillions of dollars continue to lie and treat the public like moronic ants on this issue, my friends, on the whole secret space program. And all the lies, I think, are coming to a tipping point now, my friends. The lies from these covert military civilizations. Because I think they're very, very nervous. Actually, I know they are, my friends, a lot of them, because they know more people are on in the missing trillions, like Catherine Austin Fitts and other researchers now, dark journalists. They know, my friends, that they know that we have to transfer out of the black budget technology for the whole space-based economy, you see, because we all know that the governments want to mine asteroids, right? I mean, there's quadrillion dollars, literally, more than even trillions of dollars, quadrillion dollars apparently to be made mining asteroids, okay? And Japan's taken a huge step. Apparently Joseph wrote on his blogs about the Japan and their probes that they've landed on an asteroid. So all this is still early and quite fragile, my friends, but it has begun. And this is huge, okay? Again, just showing, again, we live in this remarkable transformative times here, my friends. So they know they've got to transfer out the black budget technology because you can't use rockets, my friends. You can't use all these rockets that they keep sending into space, and that's dinosaur technology, okay? Even Michael Schratt knows it is. Of course, Billy Carson uses the word dumb. I use the word dinosaur technology 70 years ago from the Nazis, from the V2 rockets. So they know they've got to show the world, my friends, that there's another technology to mine asteroids. Just like rockets, my friends, you can't get to Mars and back with rockets. I don't even think you can get one way with rockets to Mars. Remember Elon Musk, my friends? Again, this goes right back to the U.S. intelligence agencies and how they throw out so much disinformation, my friends, so much degradative discourse, and corporate media is a large part to blame. But again, that's intertwined with the U.S. intelligence agencies. Every powerful country probably has, I'm sure, their own propaganda. But you see it, my friends, if you know what to look for. It's all brainwashing, distraction, largely corporate, gullible, bought-out media, right? And they use rockets. They're showing rockets delivering payloads and people. Again, this is dinosaur technology again, my friends. And Elon Musk, you see, He's just a commercial dangle largely for the US intelligence agencies. I want you guys to think about it. I want you to think how Elon Musk, how he talks, the technology that he's using. Right away, when you know he's using a rocket, my friends, and he doesn't talk anything about anti-gravity. Do you ever hear Elon Musk talking about the breakthroughs that the actual covert military civilizations made? You never hear him talking about that. Sorry for the dog in the background, my friends. I'm living in a community here. We're going to get to acquire other beautiful parks, actual parks in the future, I promise. In the meantime, bear with me. But you don't hear Elon Musk talking about anti-gravity. And the guy's using a rocket. Right there, my friends, you know he's a CIA asset, basically, and a commercial dangle. They need him to use to help disorient the public. Again, my friends, the U.S. intelligence agencies, again, a lot of great people caught in the systems, don't get me wrong. But a lot of them, they're designed to disorient the public from the truth, my friends. Just like the TTSA, To the Stars Academy, right? Getting a burned out rock star and Tom DeLong to be the front man for the company, although he's been dropped largely as the front man, and now they're running around with Luis Elizondo and the other CIA cronies, retired guys from the CIA, supposedly retired. Again, you're never really retired from the CIA, but they're most likely contractors. So remember, here's the TTSA, my friends, getting off Dolan for a moment, but I'll relate it back to Dolan in a second, the TTSA, and I'll tell you why. But here, the TTSA, my friends, this is run by the U.S. intelligence agencies. You know, it would be okay if the CIA would just say, you know, yes, this is a CIA operation, you know, and all that. But, my friends, and there's so much sensation. This whole company is to sensationalize and hyperbolize the vague uncertainty about the whole UFO phenomenon, right? And there's no disclosure on real UFO truth, my friends. And again, if you know it's military UFOs, which it is, that cuts out a lot of uncertainty, and Americans at the forefront. This company, my friends,